Girl, you the best, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending, nothing is friend. She gon' tell you where she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it. Know you can get it, looking exquisite, no competition, stay on the pivot. Who be watching, they be plotting, she so mother.
Hello. Welcome to the East Spot. I'm your host, Camille Cower, and I am so excited for you guys to meet today's guest. You guys are in for a treat. We have legends in the building. Mr. Popcorn Miller is joining us, as well as Skip Anderson. Yay! Thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited to meet you guys and have you on my show. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks for having
It's my pleasure. So I guess we'll start with Popcorn first. How did you get started in the music industry?
Oh, I started trying to teach myself how to play drums when I was around 14 years old, and it worked. And my mother played a lot of music on records, so I listened to them, and I just kind of got into it. And I was too small to play football or basketball, so it looked like musician was my way.
All right. What's the saying? You got to have either a wicked jump shot or something to get out, right? So there you go. You're really good at music. How about with you, Skip? How did you get started?
Well, my mother was a piano player. She got me taking lessons taking piano lessons when I was real young. I did try to play some basketball in junior high school and stuff. And I remember having a basketball practice, and the coach said, "We're going to have practice on Wednesday." I said, "Coach, I got a piano lesson on Wednesday." All the guys were like, "Piano lesson too," Anyway, I kept at it, and later had a little. They had me play a little concert for the school, for the class, and everybody's like, "Oh, I didn't know you played," So I got them back for that. But yeah, that's how I started out.
Okay. Now, did you guys always work together, or how did you two meet to work together? I'll let we'll start with you, Popcorn.
I was hired by Luther Vandross to be a band tech back in 1982, and that's how I met Skip. Skip was one of the keyboard players.
Okay. Now, how did you get to the point to work with Luther Vandross even? Like, who were you performing with before then?
I did a tour with Rick James and Camille on the crew. I've always been a production person.
Wait, Rick James?
Yep.
Sorry. I had to take that in for a moment. I love Rick James.
Yes.
So
I got hired as stage manager to work for Luther.
Wow. How about for you, Skip?
Wow, I didn't even know you worked with Rick James. We know all the same people. It's a small world in the R&B business, to say the truth. So I moved to New York in '76 or something, and left my local bands in Columbus, Ohio. In New York, I started playing with Patti LaBelle's cohort, Nona Hendrix. And then I went on to play with Lenny White, and we opened up for Rick James and Prince. So that's why you said Rick James. I know you knew Rick James too, but so I got stories that I can't even tell about those Rick James.
What stories can you tell about Rick James? Because we've seen some on Dave Chappelle.
Okay, speaking of basketball, we played band against
great entertainer.
Yeah,
he put on a 2.5-hour show, but I was working for Camille, and we were the guest star on the tour. I saw them every day, and I knew everybody in the band and the production people. I wasn't on his payroll. I was on Camille's payroll.
Ah, so you can really tell the stories.
Nah.
Well, Skip was about to share something about the basketball games.
Oh yeah, his band played our band.
I'm trying to think. There was a lot of stuff going on, and we didn't have the kind of rapport between both bands that you ordinarily would have. Okay. It's a competition, and Cameo was competing against them. Rick James had a #1 record. Cameo had a #2 record.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, it wasn't tense or anything like that. It was just about, like basically
Competition.
major.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, Skip, you were about to tell us some stories though about the basketball games.
Yeah, so his band was a bunch of greyhounds. They run up and down the court. I don't know whether we were older than them or not. I don't think so, but they had some wind. I had no wind. So, and I was the tallest guy in the band, our band.
Yeah.
And I love basketball, so I was upset that they beat the mess out of us. But during one of the games, I forget what egg Rick on, but he mooned the audience. There was just a group of our fans or something, that came to this game, and he ended up mooning somebody. So, but that's nothing new for Rick James. Come on.
I mean, I guess not. I never got to see him perform, but I definitely grew up listening to his music and.
Oh, he was a serious performer. And those shows with Rick and Prince, that was a battle of the bands too. This was Prince's first tour, and that band was so tight, but Rick James's production was huge. So it was amazing. Yeah.
Wow, what an opportunity to be able to perform with such great talent, and at a time where music, like they really appreciated live sounds and music. And I know for sure Prince played the guitar and I think other instruments as well, but I don't remember what instrument Rick James played.
Well, he was a bass player for sure, but he also played keyboards and
guitar or bass. Yeah. I think he played bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he played on stage. When it came to recording the songs, I'm pretty sure he played some keyboards and certainly guitar. He wrote all those songs, and those were some great songs. You and I, when that first tune, You and I came out, oh man, that hit me. And then Mary Jane, I was so dumb, I didn't understand what Mary Jane really meant for a few years.
Yeah. I think I shared with Ivan that I sang a Mary Jane song during a talent show because I too didn't understand what some of their lyrics were about. And yeah, they pulled the mic or pulled the sound real quick because it was on a military base. So my parents probably should have paid more attention to when I said, "Hey, can I take this to school for a talent show?" Sure. So wow. So you both worked with Rick James. Well, you worked with Camille and Popcorn, and you worked with Rick James. Who are some of the other artists that you worked with before working with you guys coming together at Luther? Like, how did that relationship even happen? I'll start with you, Skip, this time.
Okay. After Lenny White, which was that was my connection with the Rick James tour. I was with Phyllis Hyman, who was a outstanding jazz singer, unbelievable jazz singer. I was with her for a while. After that, I think I joined Luther. Yeah. And then after Luther, I did some work with Anita Baker and Vanessa L. Williams, as a matter of fact, who is a great singer. A lot of singers make good records, and then you find out they did it in the studio. Vanessa L. Williams can sing, sure enough, sing.
Well, she was Miss America, and they made her perform live there as well. So you could definitely tell she has the skill set there or talent. How about for you, Popcorn? What were some of the?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. How did what were some of the people that you performed with before getting to Luther after not Rick James, after Cameo?
Oh, well, I worked for these artists I never performed with because I'm a jazz artist and these are all R&B artists.
Oh, okay.
But I functioned either the drum tech for about 6 years, and then I started being stage manager.
Oh,
so I had the opportunity to, I did Marvin Gaye's last tour.
What was that like?
I did Lionel Richie tour when he left the Commodore.
Wait. I want to hear more about Marvin Gaye. What was it like working with Marvin Gaye being a stage manager?
Well, I was still a drum tech then.
Oh, okay.
So I had a friend who has a company called Roadies of Color. And he called me about it. And one guy had left the tour, so he called me about it and asked me would I come and finish the tour. So I said yes. So I went out and and just did percussion for the 3 percussion players they had, and then we also did Marvin's funeral, but we won't talk about that part,
No,
you
that's
know.
okay.
But it would, Marvin was a legend. Just to watch him perform, he was a legend. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
total control of the stage, and everything about him was major professional.
Mm-hmm. I talk about him a lot because I hope that the younger generation will think more about the lyrics that they make, because he would talk about the different social issues and political issues going on in a way that it brought, I mean, it humanized what was going on. And like just and I had an artist actually this week who remade What's Going On, and it was beautiful. But I just want more people to make songs like that. So that's why I was asking more about him, because I was like, wait, somebody that's worked with him, what was it like? Tell me more. So wow. Okay. So what all doesn't it take being a stage manager as well?
Um,
Uh,
a stage manager is like a traffic cop. Okay, you have a bunch of different departments: light, sound, video, band, and all that, and you get them in the building and you get them out the building. As far as out of the
Oh
trucks, and
no.
you get them set up, and you really just direct the labor and just make sure nobody puts the cart before the horse. You know, and showtime comes, you start the show on time, and show's over with. You just reverse it and get everybody out the building and move to the next venue.
Mhm.
It's a long day though. It's 16, 17-hour day,
Mm.
but when the band gets up there and does a spectacular show, that's our reward.
Oh, you broke out. You broke up at the last part. I didn't hear what you said. After
Oh,
16
I
to
said
17-hour day.
once the band gets on stage and they perform, that's your reward, especially when you're working for a really good band. It's like, wow, we did all this so they could do that,
Yeah.
you know. So it just, you just feel good about that. It's a team. It's a whole team. The band, the crew, the staff, everybody. They're just all one entity, and it takes everybody to make it happen. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Since you brought it up, what was one of the band or not bands, one of the performances that you got the most pride from, or that you were just like, I can't believe we pulled this off because it was just so intricate?
Oh, there was a bunch of those.
Okay. Well, when
But
you're working with the top, I'm sure that happens.
the major deal that would involve would be time.
Hmm.
If you had a long time, if you had a short time to get from one venue to the other, but you had a long trip.
Okay.
So instead of you going to work at 8 in the morning, you don't get there till 10.
Mm.
Then you're already 2 hours behind.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you still have to do what you have to do. So those are the things that for me is, when you get there late or you have serious technical problems and you make it work and the show starts on time, those are the bottom line is make the show start on time.
Okay.
So it's really nothing that it's more like that.
Mm-hmm.
You because if you're late, that's a big complication on what you're doing.
Right.
If you have a big show, now if you have a small show, you get there at 4 in the afternoon. But if you have a big show with 8 or 9 or 10 trucks and you have 20 or 30 or 40 people working with you, then you have to have time to do things. And sometimes you can't do things on top of other people. You try to do it simultaneously, but you can't stop what you're doing so somebody else can do something because you're late.
Mm.
So, but that's at the end of the day, you say, wow, we pulled that off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're happy about that.
Okay. All right. How about for you, Skip Anderson? Is there any show that you've worked on that you're like, that was one of my favorite shows, or
Sure, everybody would love to hear about all the greatest shows Luther did or Aretha did and all that. Well, they were all great because these were great artists. You expect that to be great.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I had a lot of great experiences with them. But I gotta say, one of my favorite shows, nobody's gonna want to hear about it, but this was back in my Columbus, Ohio days.
Okay.
The band I used to play with out of Columbus, And we did this little gig at some college in the center of a building. I guess it was their union building. And we set up on the ground floor. They had like a circular balcony that everybody was above us looking down at us.
Yeah.
And we played some songs, and the crowd just started, thickening. And we got through playing a song, and they just went crazy with applause and just genuine, appreciation for what we did. I mean, it almost got sunburned from that, and so that I'll never forget it. We weren't stars, so for them to appreciate it like that, I'll never forget that.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's got to be a great feeling because I think that's the biggest thing with now. If people do perform virtually or so on, you don't get that instant feedback from the audience, which I think is a lot of times what performers kind of feed off of, that energy.
Sure. And along those lines, we've done shows, in Madison Square Garden, and we've done shows in smaller venues.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to say, it's great to see a huge crowd like Madison Square Garden, but you get that feedback when they're right up on you, and the acoustics are small and tight.
Yeah.
So the smaller clubs, the smaller venues are a lot of fun to play at. Music.
I can't even imagine. Now, I would be an idiot not to bring up that you guys, I don't remember which one now, but you also worked with Aretha Franklin.
Popcorn, did you? I wrote a song that.
Okay.
Actually, I did some studio work for her. Yes.
Okay. Because they're getting ready to have her movie come out this winter, and so I was curious, what was it like working with her, or did you not get to actually work with her? You got to write it and.
Yeah, I was behind the scenes on that one.
Okay.
I know a lot of friends who I've seen in pictures with her and stuff. Like I said, this is a small community of backup artists and backup personnel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had quite a few friends that sang on stage with her, were friends with her, and did stuff. And you'll see their pictures. You won't see my pictures.
You never know. There could be some, because movies, they always make it look like the songwriter is right there in the studio making adjustments to fit the artist and so on. And then I hear from all of you guys, yeah, never met her. Or like Ivan was telling me with Beyonce that Luther Vandross was like, I'm not letting you animals near her. So he didn't even get to meet Beyonce when he wrote for her. And so I'm like, man, I didn't, Hollywood got me again in that sense. So I was just curious if you guys got that opportunity because, I think also Whitney Houston was on the list of people you have worked with. And so I always feel like I have to ask about the big greats that aren't here anymore because otherwise we may never hear the stories about what it was like to work with them because they'll do the movie version of it.
Popcorn and I were with Luther when Whitney opened up for him. So we got to meet her and tour with her for a couple of years. I forget how many tours we did.
Yeah.
So she was a fantastic person, who backstage in front of the audience, she was the same honest person. What you saw is what you got, and then that voice, forget about it. But she would say stuff. I remember one time I saw her backstage. She was like, "Skibbity dippity dip," So it just makes you feel like she knows you. She was very tight buddies, but
Still.
it's like, all right, yeah.
It's nice because I've worked on films, and it's nice to be acknowledged by people and let them, and they actually notice that you're working behind them because they can't do it without you, really. So for people who may be interested in doing some of the things that you've done, what would you say would be the best path to make it into the direction you guys have gone? Like, would you say starting off with keyboard or, well, Popcorn, you're also a jazz musician as well. So just for other people who may be interested in becoming musicians, what would you recommend? I'll start with you, Popcorn, since I just finished up with Skip.
Well, I think that if you really want to be a musician, I think it doesn't matter what instrument you want to play, and I learned this later. Mm-hmm. I think you should start with piano. Okay. Because piano's the base. Once you play piano and you understand piano, you understand a whole lot more about music. Okay. And then I think if you do that, then now, okay, well, maybe I can do that, but I want to play saxophone or I want to play drums or something. Maybe piano ain't the thing you want to play, but I think that's your stepping stone. I think if you learn that, you learn so much that'll enable you to play any instrument you want to play. Okay. If you learn piano first. Okay. Then you'll probably learn how to read. And then now whatever you want to do, okay, it's there on paper. And if you have the skills to do it, and it's got to be an instrument you like. You might start playing an instrument and say, I don't like this. I can't do what I want to do. I want something else. I want to play this, or I want to play that, or I can't express myself on this. But for anybody that wants to say, okay, I think I want to be a musician, I would take piano lessons first.
Okay.
Me.
Yeah. How about you, Skip? Do you agree with that, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. Guitar, piano, at least you got chords that you can play, and that's the structure of songs. Um, any other single note instrument is going to have a little more difficult time putting together songs.
Yeah.
But determination is the key factor. It doesn't matter what you do in anything. If you have determination, you'll get it done. In terms of joining the music industry and becoming a backup artist or whatever, or a solo artist, you got to find out where the industry is, go there, and find out who's participating in it and get to know them. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I wasn't going to walk down the street and meet Luther.
Right.
It wasn't until I got to New York that I met Luther.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to go where the stuff is happening, where the popcorn is popping, right? Popcorn. So yeah.
He did. I don't know if he heard you.
I don't think so.
Or it might be a delayed reaction. He likes to prank me.
Okay.
Well, funny thing is, now that I have you both here, I can't remember who was who, but I wrote down the list of everybody you had worked with. In Vogue, Sheila E., Babyface, Morris Day, Bobby Brown, Belle Biv DeVoe, Earth, Wind and Fire, Toni Braxton, Lionel Richie, like so many of the greats. What advice would you get to even get to that level as well? Like beyond learning to play instruments, but getting to a point where you get to play with the top to the top. What do you think led to that? We'll start with you, Popcorn.
Well, like I said, I was lucky. Number one, first thing was lucky, and then, you meet a lot of people. It's all about word of mouth. You work with somebody, or you work with a group of guys, and then that's over with, and they go their separate ways, and then they find out somebody needs somebody. Maybe they put your number in there, and somebody calls you, and if you're lucky and you're good at what you do, you have to be good, else nobody's going to want you there. Right. And you're going to be an asset to what they're doing. It's not that hard to move on from one group to. It's much harder now because music is not what it was. You didn't have 100 different groups that were out working. You don't have that now. But back in the 80s and the 90s, you could go from group to group to group to group, never go home. Yeah. Okay, you just get a flight to the next tour and keep on going. But it's definitely not like that anymore. Okay. Before the virus, it's just altogether different now. There's not that many groups. Most of the groups are older R&B groups, and I'd say a few of them are still working. Some of them, a lot of them are. Okay, because we've all gotten older, but I just think luck plays a big part of it, and then your performance, your job performance, plays the other major part, because if you don't do a good job, they're not going to keep you.
For sure. Now, Skip, I'm going to start with you on this one because I see all your beautiful records and awards behind you. Can you share what all the different awards are for?
Well, yeah. My wife didn't let me put them all up, so I've got a few.
Oh, wow. Let's see. I'm trying to get a bigger picture so people can see them all.
Okay. Well, I have, let's see. Yeah. So this one is Luther. It's one of his records. I think it was probably Give Me the Reason. And this one here is Popcorn and Skip. And this one over here is Whitney Houston. And then I have some writing and publishing plaques here. I got I have a.
Oh, wow. A gold record, too.
Yeah, that's Teddy Pendergrass. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He has an amazing voice.
It was pretty cool, yeah. So yeah, it's all about being in the right place, right time, having the skills, being being a good person, you know, being a nice person. There's not too many evil people working in the music business, or at least behind the scenes, because
I was gonna say in the business side there must be only.
maybe, yeah,
They're the ones that make everybody bankrupt.
but you know what Popcorn and I do, you got to kind of have a good personality because they're not going to put up with egotists and
Right.
you know people that don't make you feel good. So
Yeah, especially months on the road together.
yeah, I got to say all the groups I was with, especially Luther's group, we were all a big family, you know, and everybody's still in touch with each other. We just had a great time on the road, and
Yeah.
you know, makes it easy.
All right, your turn for show and tell, Mr. Popcorn. I see all your awards behind you as well. What are some of those for?
Slaving. I'm just kidding.
Look, our ancestors are like, I wish that's what we had to do. What do you mean? Just playing an instrument. Or well, stage managing, excuse me.
Yeah, there's I only have a couple. I have what is it, an 8 platinum one for New Kids on the Block, because I did their 2 major biggest tours. When they came out and did their major stuff, I did it. Okay.
Wow.
And then I have from Johnny Gill. I didn't work with Johnny, but was on the same tour with us. We were all the same thing.
Yeah.
We had one crew for 3 bands. So it was Keith Sweat, I think, Johnny Gill, and Levert or something like that.
Okay.
So I got one from him, and then a couple other ones are our record. You know, one thing that I did and the one that me and Skip did, those are just like, okay, sooner or later they're going to be authentic, but right now they're there.
Now it's time to start talking about. I'm glad, like, perfect segue to your new CD that you guys have, which is called Timeless. Can you tell me how that came about?
I wanted to do a jazz record since I had been a jazz musician when I was younger, and I had never done it. And I saved money from Earth, Wind, and Fire tour to do it. And I said, well, I got to find somebody that can help me because I didn't know how to do it. So I called Skip because I'd known Skip for 20-some years. And I knew that he could do it because he produces people and Luther and all that stuff he's done with them. So I called him in and we talked about it and we said, okay, let's do it. So we got some songs together and got some musicians and went in and recorded it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And how do you feel? Well, I'll start with Skip on this one. How did you, when he gave you that call and said, hey, let's make this record together, how did you feel about that?
Well, this wasn't the first time we talked about it. You know, like, we've been together for 20 years on the road. Plus, we're both from Ohio. We both love jazz. We had a lot of stuff in common. We were just friends for all those years. So, of course, we talked about all the possibilities for a long time. It just took forever to do it, you know. But when he finally called me and said, hey, I'm ready to do it, my schedule had me in Vegas at the time. Popcorn was in LA. He set up the studio time, and he flew me down from Vegas. I stayed at his crib, and we took all of his gear over to the studio, set it all up. He called the musicians that he knew out there and people that were recommended to him, and they showed up the next day, and we started cutting. You know, Popcorn actually, when I first got to LA, he played me a bunch of songs that he was interested in doing. I think I added one tune to the list, and the rest were things he had been thinking about for a while. So we got those charts together for the musicians, and showed up at the studio a day or two later, and they showed up. We started cutting.
That's so neat. Now, you guys have worked with so many talented singers and other bandmates as well. Did you have any inspirations from working from them that you feel like you had to make sure you included in this piece? Or because I mean, it's so different from what you guys were working with, but at the same time, I'm sure you had to bring some of that with you, if nothing else than the work ethic, I'm sure. But
Popcorn has a really good story to tell about that, I'm sure. But the one song that I brought to the project was from a group that I loved from years ago. And it turns out the group was called Odell Brown and the Organizers, and the song was called Tommy's Thing. Odell Brown, turns out he was a producer for I'm going to say Stax Records, but I might be wrong. It's one of those record companies in those days. And turns out he was a co-writer of Sexual Healing for Marvin Gaye.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that a trip? Yeah.
Yes.
So.
You said it was a small world in the R&B world. You weren't kidding. So what's the great story, Mr. Popcorn?
About what?
Skip said that you had a great story for one of the songs that you included on your album that you guys did together.
I already put you on the spot.
Great story. Oh, okay.
I guess it's got to be relative. It's great to him.
Well, what happened was is we did a tune and we had computer problems. And we did all the recording ourselves with our equipment, and everything worked fine for 4 days. And then the 5th day, we would get right in the middle of the song and the computer would stop. So we'd have to, Skip would figure out what happened, and we'd do it again, the computer stop again. Probably stopped 4 or 5 times. Just so it happened that the name of the song was Trouble Number 2. And it was trouble for real. So, I mean, we couldn't believe everything else we did was basically a first take. But this one was just, it was the computer, it wasn't the song. Finally got it to work long enough that we could record the song and get it down. You know, and after that, we were kind of burnt out. And we kind of like, okay, glad it was the last song that we did instead of the first one.
Right.
You know, but yeah, that would be my story on that.
Skip, was that the one you were referring to?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the one.
Maybe great wasn't the right word then, just really dramatic or something.
Liberties with that word there.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm gonna actually bring up the album so they can get a little taste of what you guys are making, because it's available now for them to stream on a lot of different platforms.
Cool.
Just give me a minute. Yeah. Do you have a preference which one? Because we can do Cosmic Friends, Lazy Afternoon, Tommy's Thing, Trouble Number 2, since we brought it up, or Mode for Joe?
Don't
play Trouble. It's going to be trouble.
Me, I would say Tommy's Thing. That's what I would say.
Oh, Tommy's Thing. Okay. There we go. you guys got to buy the album. I can't give it all away. That was, I just loved listening to it today because I had it playing all day today while I was working and stuff, and it's just such a great vibe. And I was curious, what made you guys name it Timeless, as well as a tribute to the Blue Note Studios? Excuse me.
Popcorn can answer that one.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Popcorn. I think we lost him.
I see him. I don't know if he can stop hearing me.
Well,
still vibing out.
When Popcorn first thought of the concept, he was listening to Blue Note record songs, and so that was where the title first came from. But it's been so long since we recorded it, we figured that it's not only that, but we added a tune or two that weren't from that record label. So we thought it was appropriate to rename the album. So this is the second version of the same album.
Okay. Now, the other bandmates that you guys had with you, had you guys work? I mean, I'm sure you guys worked with them before, but where did you guys work with them before? Oh no, you hadn't worked with them before.
No.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
Popcorn had some people in mind that he like Earth, Wind, and Fire members that unfortunately they had a gig that showed up at the same time as our recording schedule, so they couldn't make it. So Popcorn reached out to some other people who referred the musicians we used to Popcorn at that time. So we had never met them until they showed up in the studio. Well, it was only two guys. There was a guitar player and a sax player, and but they fit right in.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Now, Popcorn, can you hear us now? Popcorn?
Nope.
I forget. Oh, darn. Okay. Well, I'm curious do you guys have any plans for any other albums, or when will the actual release dates and everything, so people can, I know they can stream it from this website, and I actually put the link in here so they could join and listen to it as well. So I'll show that. So that's the link to click on so you can play it as well on N1 Music or n1m.com. Popcorn Miller, Skip Anderson. Yeah.
So there are things in the works now that hopefully later in the summer we'll get some publicity and some other avenues of where people can reach out to the album and download it, stream it, whatever they do nowadays. And so yeah, that's in the works. I think it's probably the biggest production push, or not production, but the biggest push we've had in terms of publicizing this record since we recorded it. So it might make a difference. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it looked like you guys are having a great time performing it. So I really hope you get a chance to perform it live whenever everything is somewhat normal, or live stream it or something. Because it's like a delay sometimes with music, because I would love to hear it, to see you guys perform it live. You look like you had a lot of fun. Was that all in one day you guys performed the whole album?
No, that was it was 5 or 6 days. I think we did one day to set up everything, and then the musicians, actually the guitar player showed up the next day. We recorded for 3 days. Then the sax player showed up, and we recorded him for all the songs we had cut at that point. So,
so you even have to mesh that in, because you guys didn't all perform together.
Just the three of us recorded all the songs, and then we had to add the sax player. I don't know what happened. I don't think he was available, or we didn't know of him until the last day. But he was a gem when he showed up. He was really cool. And we overdubbed him. So in other words, in the song you just heard, he's playing two parts on the sax. So you hear the high note and the low note and the harmonies for those sax parts. So that's him on both parts.
See, it really is like gumbo making music. There's so many parts to it that just blends together to make it taste great. Well, I bet there's some comments and so on. I'll go ahead and, because I don't know if Popcorn can hear us, so I'll go ahead and run through these real quick. Well, Marie Barron, she looks like she's shouting out a lot of people. James Ham, Michael Miller, Terry Cranon. Yeah, I think she was telling them to come watch. And she was telling you that we love y'all. Olivia, hi from Rougemont, and she's checking in from Chicago. Nicole saying congratulations on your many accomplishments, because that was when we were going through all the awards. Olivia says great work. Rob Douglas, he said the sound takes me back to my Detroit days listening to WJZZ, such a smooth groove. And then, oh, and then there's the question for Popcorn. I don't know if you'll hear it. How did he get his name, Popcorn?
Good question. I don't think I can answer that one. Sorry, he's unavailable at the moment.
Oh no, he can't hear me. Well, he told me because he hates his first name, and so somebody was saying, I can't remember what it was now that I think about it either, but when they gave him that nickname, he ran with it because it was small, he was smaller, like a colonel or something, so they called him that.
Well, he was in the service, I know that, so maybe he was a colonel. I don't know.
No, they were saying a popcorn colonel, but he was in the service as well. Oh wow! See, I was an Air Force brat, I feel bad because he can't hear us, to just leave him on. But you guys will have to come back, and we'll do it again.
Sure.
Yeah, well, this has been great. I was so excited to meet you guys and to hear about all the legends you guys worked with, and also to hear the story behind your record, because it's so good. You guys have to go out and get it. It's called Timeless. I'll show it one more time just so people can see the image of it. There you go. So Timeless is the name of the record. You guys have to go out and get it or find it ASAP. All right. Well, oops. All right. Well, thanks again for being my guest. I don't know what happened with Popcorn, but we'll have to bring you guys back and do it again.
Leo, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure. This was a lot of fun, and you showed all those pictures from making this record, and it just reminded me how much fun we had doing that. So
it looked like fun. That's why I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I show the pictures, because I looked at it earlier. You guys were jamming out the action shot. So thanks again for being my guest. This was a big treat for me just to hear all your stories. So thanks again.
Thank you. You're wonderful.
At least wave. Maybe he'll notice I'm waving at him. Nope, not a clue. Like the computer, we should have never said the word trouble.
Okay. No, good thing we didn't play that.
Because soon after that story, he's been gone ever since. Oh well. Well, thanks again for hanging out with me. It was a lot of fun.
All right. See you again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.